In my final video today, I wanted to touch on something that was really, bothering me as a person. I had saw recently um, in local mining journal that there's a uptick in felony crimes here in the Marquette County area, up, upper up the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. You Google it if you don't know where the hell this is. A lot of folks don't live in. So anyway, I kind of found it disturbing, not so much because I'm afraid of more felons running around, whatever. So it's more like there's this underlying thing where everything is all brand new, and everything that happens just kind of happened. And I'm pretty certain that person who wrote this article, such, did research and wrote something relevant. I'm not saying they didn't, but what I'm saying is that, it's just some of these roots, some of these causal things. Like, for example, I remember, throughout the 90s, especially, there was this notion of like, you're feeding our kids these pharmaceutical drugs so they would be still, or they would pay attention better, or something along that line. And what I noticed is that some of my college pals were constantly chasing these prescription drugs. I want no parts of that with them. And 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 I kind of wondered, like, why on earth are you, chasing behind these pills? Well, I kind of why you want to get high, but just in general, it's like, what's the why of all of this? Why is this occurring? Why is this stuff? And I remember years later, I was working in a restaurant, which name I won't mention in this video because I like the people who own the place, and I don't want to make them sound like they're doing anything wrong. They're just getting food. But I remember these drug reps used to come in, and they used to walk in with these fresh leather jackets, kind of this air about them, like they're total slicksters, And again, I'm not imputing drug reps in general or even in particular, but I have to say, when somebody's giving off air like they're, like they're clocking dough, it kind of made my hair stand on end. And then just recently, you hear about these doctors and these pill mills, and you look at these different. I remember going to the doctor for years. Every freaking pad of paper or pen, had some damn drug company on it. And they say they've kind of like toned that down some over these years. They don't. They're so obviously tied to these doctors where they used to be, but still, the point is pretty clear that there is a drug distribution apparatus, and these folks who make the drugs are they are making a handsome profit for these drugs. You have to make knockoffs for half of the world who won't pay for their prescription, the name brand anymore. And so now these kids are adults, and they're raiding their old mom's, medicine cabinet for pills. Well, no shit. They've been hooked on that shit since day one. Like, what the fuck do you expect? Oh, gee, well, I've been taking drugs my entire life, but suddenly as an adult now, I've outgrown it. No, you haven't. A lot of folks haven't. Not everybody is strong. Not everybody can move on past it. I don't ever hear a response from drug companies saying, "Oh, we're going to cut the supply." No, they pump that shit out because they know that somebody is going to use it. And in the end, once they've made that, once they make this sale to to the big distributors and whatnot, do they really care what happens to it after that? The fact of the matter is, the uptick in crime in the UP has to do with bad habits and poverty creeping in, and people making choices based on that. It's just that simple. It's about red zones and green zones. And what I mean by that is, in some places, they are green zones. And, crime is more carefully controlled, watched. The police are a lot more vigilant. The streets are a lot more clean. The housing prices are a lot higher. Those kind of things. In red zones, not so much. The streets don't get fixed right away, nor are they that clean all the time. The police come when they come to handle stuff. The schools doing the best they can. But the fact of the matter is, in many surrounding communities around the city of Marquette, 6% of the people or more are on some kind of assistance. There's no hiding it. It's just like in Detroit, where I grew up at. The less opportunity there is, the more likely it is you'll have crime. You'll have people out doing stuff they weren't normally doing before, because before they had a job. It's not hard to figure here. If you want to curtail crime in the UP, somebody needs to do something on a large scale to employ working class people, or you will see crime continue. Fly. But sometimes I'm thinking maybe that is the point. It's not about solution. It's about maintaining a matrix. It's about the prison industrial complex. It's about the notion that a crime is punished, and it's just that simple. And we don't need to sit down and navel gaze about why. We know there's an act. We know the act got handled. The matter got adjudicated, and the guilty are punished. And we can all go to sleep. That's pretty nice. But we all know it's not like that for real. Especially those of us who had a trip through the criminal justice system, or know somebody who has. No, oftentimes a lot more messy. It's a lot more cut and dry. Maybe that's why we're so fascinated with serial killers and people of that nature who are obviously guilty and obviously evil, I guess. We could sit there and look at that person and then be assured that there is true evil in the world that we must be kind of guarded upon. And in the end, law and order and justice do actually mean something. It can't be that there is a demon, that there is a monster inside of every person. And depending on the circumstances, it can manifest itself. But for most of us, thankfully, there are coping mechanisms and such, and things that we do to not have this occur. But for some, not so much. Same thing with the drugs. It's much easier to put you in jail than it is to sit down and figure out, why is this occurring? Whom is profiting? What does all this trade really mean? It's much easier to bust the Willie Lump Lump up on the corner, or Joe Crackhead, or Mary Meth Hound. It's much easier to arrest them and put them in the paper and say, we're doing something about it. When the reality is that the next day, the drugs hit the street anyway, because somebody wants them. And when there's a market, there are actors and participants in that market. And it's just that simple. Until we as a nation sit down and start deciding that putting people in jail isn't our first reflex, and is our first desire, and we can sit down and figure out like the nature of crime and not have it beyond this good versus evil shit. Like, we really look at it. This will continue. But I'm starting to fear that people want the illusion more than they want the truth. Putting the bad guys in jail is important to maintain the story, even though by doing this we kind of all become bad guys. So I guess I'll conclude with that. Take that how you may, and have a good day.